Hello everyone, welcome you all. This is Pawan from SDET channel. In this video, I am going to show you one of the useful feature in JavaScript, that is prototype. So this is a unique feature which we don't have in any other languages. Now we'll see what is prototype. Prototype is an object that is associated with every function and object by default. So when I create a function or an object, the prototype is by default which is associated with a function or object. So what is the use of prototype is, suppose when I create a function or object, we will define certain number of properties or attributes or methods. After defining a function or object, in later point of time, if you want to add some additional properties or if you want to add additional methods in the class or function, we can use prototype. Now we'll see one practical example, then we can understand what exactly prototype is and where we have to use prototype. Now let me just go to my Visual Studio Code editor, and here I'm creating a new JavaScript file. I will name it as prototype demo.js. Right, so now I have created a new file, JavaScript file called prototype demo.js. So in this, I'm just creating one function. Let's see how to create a function in JavaScript by using function keyword. Function, and my function name is student. Inside this function, I'll define two variables. So those variables I will define with this keyword. So this representing the function here. The function means nothing but is an object. Function itself is an object in JavaScript. So this dot name. So this dot name, and here I'm passing some value. Let's say John. This is one variable I created within the function. And similarly, I'll say this dot gender of a person. So gender equal to, I'll say male. So this is another variable I created. Now student is a function which contains two variables I created. Now to access this variable through function, what I can do is I will just create one variable. Let's say stu1 equal to new student. See this guy. So student is a function. In JavaScript, functions will be considered as an object. So we can create one object reference variable for the function. So here when I say student function, so new student, for this student function, I'm just creating an object reference variable. So as soon as I created an object reference variable, I can access these variables by using stu1, right? So this is one of the instance of student function. Now how we can access those variables? I can access like stu1 dot stu1 dot stu1 dot, I can simply access name, right? So name I can access. How we can print this? I can just print by using console.log of stu1 dot name. So what this will print is stu1 is an object reference variable of a student function. From this I'm able to access name, and similarly I can also access gender. I can simply say gender also I can access. Now when I run the script, now we got the output called the first name and gender. So we are able to access the values of this variable through the object reference variable. So now what I will do is here currently the student function is having only two variables, and when I create an object reference variable for this function, I'm able to access these two variables, right? Suppose what I can do here is here I will update the value of the variable I want to, or else I want to add one more value into the function. So currently I have only two data sets. So like name and gender, we have two variables I have defined. Suppose I want to add a new variable into this function. How we can add it? So through this object reference variable, I'm adding stu1 dot, I'll say stu1 dot, let's say age equal to, let's say 35. Now observe this, what happens? I have just created an object reference variable for this function. So through this object, I can access name and gender. But this function doesn't have the age. Now I'm newly adding this age to this function, right? I'm adding this age to the function. Now how I'm adding? Through this object reference variable. So stu1 dot age equal to 35. Now by using the same object stu1 dot, I can access name, right? So I can access name, stu1 dot name I can access, comma, stu1 dot gender I can access, comma, stu1 dot age also I can access. But at the time of creation of this function, I'm not defined the age variable. After definition is completed, then here through this object, I'm adding this age. Now let us print all these values. Let's say console.log, console.log. I'm just printing these values now, right? So now observe this. So name, we are able to access. Gender also we are able to access. And later I'm adding the new variable to this function by using this object variable. So I'm also printing that. So when I run this code, you will get all three values successfully, perfectly fine, right? Now here I will create one more object. Observe this, stu2 equal to new student I am created. Now this is another object reference variable for this function. Now again I'm using the same statement, and this time I'm accessing name from stu2, name from stu2, gender from stu2, and age also from stu2. Now if you just notice here, I have added a new value or new variable through the object reference variable. So this value belongs to stu1. But here when I create an object for student, another object called stu2, this contains only two variables, name and gender. It doesn't have the age, but still I'm trying to print age here, right? Because by stu2 I can access only name and gender because those two variables are already defined in the function. But stu2.age is not available. It is undefined because previously age is added, but where we have added age by using stu1, that's a different object. Now I am retrieving age of stu2, so this will say undefined. So when you run this code, so you can clearly see the first object it is giving three values, for the second object it is giving undefined. So age is not created for stu2 object. Age is not created for stu2 object. But now what I want to do is, I want to create a variable which should be belongs to each and every object. So here I just added one variable which is belongs to only stu1 object, but I want to create a variable which should belongs to all the objects whichever I created for this function. So how it is possible? So this is possible by using prototype. So now what I will do is I'm just removing this one. Okay. Now before creating the object, what I will do here is I will say here is student.prototype. So here student is my function. So dot prototype I'm accepting. So prototype which will associate with the function now. So student.prototype dot, what is the value I'm going to add? Age equal to 35. So now what happens is I'm added the new variable to this function using prototype. Now when I create an object student1, stu1, I'm able to access the age. When you created an object for stu2 for the student, still I can able to access the age. So this is the advantage of prototype. So basically if you see the definition, if we want to add new properties at a later stage to a function or a class, we can take help of prototype. So this is the definition now. So again, if you just simulate here, we have added a new variable into the function by using prototype. Now, whenever I created a multiple objects for the same function, every object will acquire their own attribute values, their own variables. So now age is belongs to stu1, also stu2. Now when I run this code, this time it will show you all the values. Now we can go here. Now this is the value of the student1 and these are the values of the student2 object, right? Perfectly fine. So this is how we can use prototype. We can use a prototype, right? So here in this example, we have added a new variable to the function by using prototype. This is one example. And in this example, we have seen how to add a new property to the function. Now we can also add a new property to the class. Now I'll show you that example, how we can add a new property to the class. Let me just create one more example. Prototype demo 2.js. All right, so in this example, I'm just creating a class. Instead of function, I will create a class. Let's say class employee, right? Inside the class. So what class contains? Class contains the variables, methods, constructors. Now I will write one constructor here. I'll say constructor, and this constructor will take two arguments, eid or ename. Inside this constructor, I will initiate the variable. Let's say this dot id equal to eid, this dot ename equal to this dot ename equal to ename, right? So I'm just accepting the two arguments here inside the constructor and assigning those two values into class variables, id and ename. So this representing the class. Now this is a class. After that, I want to add a new variable to this class. So already id and name is there. By using constructor, I have initiated those two values. But apart from these two, I also wanted to add a new variable to the class. So that is possible again by using prototype, and take the class name employee dot prototype dot, I'm going to add salary. So sal equal to, let's say, 50,000. Now observe. So when I say employee dot prototype dot sal, this value belongs to this class. Now let us access those values by creating an object. So here I'm creating an object emp1 obj equal to new employee. So when I create an object for employee class, the employee class contains one constructor, right? So whenever I create an object for employee class, the constructor will be invoked. So we need to pass these two arguments here. So eid means I'll pass 101, and the name of the employee I'll say David, right? So as soon as I created an object, I'm passing the values into this constructor. So these two values are initiated. So outside, by using prototype, salary value is initiated. Now using this object, emp1 object, I can access the ID, I can access the name, I also can access the salary. So now we can see how we can access them. So I already created an object emp1 obj, and here emp1 obj dot eid, that is our employee ID. Again emp obj dot ename, comma emp obj dot emp id, emp name, and also I'm able to access salary, sal, right? Because that sal we have added by using prototype. So I'm printing all of them by using console.log of emp1.eid, emp1 obj.eid, emp1 obj.ename, emp1 obj.sal. So now I am able to access everything by using this object. Perfectly fine. Now let us execute. So once we executed, now we got all the values. But here it is saying eid is undefined. Why eid is undefined here? So here this variable is not correct. So eid I need to assign into eid, right? So now again, once again run it. Now we got the values. Perfectly fine. Now I'll create one more object. Let's create one more object. emp2 obj. Okay, this is another object of the same class, new employee. So when I create an object, we need to pass the arguments to the constructor. I'll say 102, comma, and here I will say John, and is another object. Now by using this object, I'll try to access the values. So this is emp2.obj.eid, emp2obj.ename, emp2obj.salary. Now these values are belongs to emp2 object. These are the values are belongs to emp1 object. Now let us execute this, and now we can see the values of object 2, right? So if you just notice, this value, salary value, is a same for all the objects. So along with the existing values, I also added additionally salary by using prototype, right? So this is how we can add a new variable or attribute to the class by using prototype. This is one usage. So now again, if you simulate the definition, if you want to add a new properties at a later stage to the function or class, we have seen function in previous example. Now I have shown you class. So if you want to add a new properties to the class, we can take the help of prototype. The same thing we have done. So we already created one class with some constructor. The constructor initiated some variables. Now in addition, I am adding a new variable to the class by using prototype, and by using objects, I can access everything. And this is how we can add new variables to the class by using prototype. This is one example. Now I'll show you one more example. So not only these variables, we can also add functions or methods to the class by using prototype. So for example, I already have one class. Here I have a constructor. Suppose I have added a new function to this employee, or suppose tomorrow I want to add a new function to the employee class, and that also I can add by using prototype. So in the previous example and in these two examples, I have shown you how to add variables to the function by using prototype, how to add variables to the class by using prototype. Now I'm going to show you how to add functions to the class by using prototype. Now the same example, let's try to modify this. So here I will keep the same thing, but I'll do some slight change here. So we already have constructor. So I already have salary variable to the class. In addition, I'm also going to add one function to this class, right? How we can add functions to the class? So to add functions to the class by using prototype, we need to follow a syntax. So first we need to have an employee class. So employee is my class, dot prototype, okay, dot prototype, dot the name of the method we have to specify. I'll give display. This is my name of the method. Name of the method is display equal to function. So whatever syntax we have written for function, the same syntax we have to write it here. Function, inside this we can write the function. So you can start curly brace here, or you can also put curly braces here. So here we have to write the code for the function. And what is the name of the function? Display is the name of the function. Now what this display method will do is, here instead of printing the values here and here, I will write the same thing directly inside this function. Inside the function, I'm going to directly write. Let's see, console.log. Now currently these values EID, ename, salary, this functional belongs to employee class. So how we can refer all these variables and functions? By using this keyword. So console.log, this dot EID, comma, this dot ename, comma, this dot salary. So now I have created one function additionally in this class by using prototype. So this statement is referring like we have added a new value to the class, there's a variable, and now we can also add a new function to the class. So employee dot prototype dot display is the name of the method or function. Inside this we have created a function. Now we no need to call this every time now. So what you can do is, as soon as you created an object, by using this object, just call the display function, which will print the values of that particular object. emp1.obj.display, that's it. And similarly here also emp2.obj.display, done. So now I created one object for employee. I'm passing two values, emp id and value, and the constructor will initiate that value. And later this is also added to the same. So by using prototype, salary is also added. So the display method will be called here. The function will call and it will print EID, name and salary of the particular object. And again I created another object. Through this object I'm calling the same method again. So here whatever values we have initiated, and the same values will be printed by display. So what we have understood here is, we can use prototype to add variables to the class, or we can add a new function to the class by using prototype. Now let us execute and see. So we got the same output here. So here it's saying emp2.obj. So there is a spelling mistake. So this is emp2obj. Okay. Let's execute one more time. Let me clear this. Run. Yes, now we got the same output. This is the data about emp1, emp1 obj, and this is the data of emp2 obj, right? So these examples demonstrate we can add variables to the class by using prototype. We can also add functions to the class by using prototype. And three examples totally we have seen. In the first example, we can add variables to the function by using prototype, and we can add variables to the class. We can also add functions to the class by using prototype. So now we'll understand the definition. So prototype is an object that is associated with every function and object by default. If you want to add a new properties at later stage to the function or class, we can take the help of prototype. So this is a basic usage of prototype in JavaScript. Right? In future, if you want to add additional attributes or additional variables or additional functions to the class or function, we can make use of prototype. So that is all about prototype concept. All right. So that's all for this video, guys. Thanks for watching.